Okay, so I'm okay with the birds. It's okay. It's not. I like to hear something other than my voice. um, so what I also want to look at real quick is um, so basically the first part of it says that describes the role of the team member with whom the student interacted. So let me just go down here and include a description of your client care. So the other students, have they started to turn theirs in yet? I haven't looked. I was just working on your newborn assessments, but
I haven't asked my other classmates, honestly, but I like, I know, because like right here it talks about a conference or like
right. For background, provide the context for conversation, provide background to. So, sorry, I'm just trying to think how you're going to do this in the context of what you guys are doing. So right now, where are you for clinical right now?
today was our last day with let me see, today, well now seeing it, there is going to be actually a probability that I'm going to be able to complete it, because we start on PCPA on next week. It will be our very first time.
Okay, good.
On the 22nd and 23rd, and I know you this tool will be due a week from the day we start, actually.
Okay. So what I would do from the first day you're in there, just keep your eyes open for a way to be able to answer some of this in this tool. So basically, you know what collaboration is. Do you understand what that is?
Like working together, or how or if it comes to like a patient, how like how they collaborate, how they work together, right? And
right. So they talk about a client care conference here, or a team meeting. Now, obviously,
is that like an orientation for first time for us, or?
I would say this has to do with, okay, so I can describe a care conference. What we used to do in the neonatal ICU would be once a week. The social worker, lactation, the nurse, the neonatologist, physical therapy, and discharge planning would all sit in a room, and we would go through each client, each baby, and talk about, you know, where that baby was in the scheme of going home and what extra appointments they would need, and all of that. So if you transfer that into something like a long-term care facility, what I'm hoping, Adriana, you will see, but believe me, with my experience with the long-term facility in Morgan Hill, I don't think this happens. I'm hoping that you see even just the RN and the VN and a CNA, even that going on, or the doctor walking around with the vocational nurse and asking about each patient and talking about new orders that need to be obtained. So let's say you're the vocational nurse in the long-term care facility, because that's what that's where you guys will be at, right?
Yes.
So let's say you have a client that just was admitted a couple days ago. The person is still in extreme pain and hasn't really been eating, had maybe a hip replacement or whatever, you know, is going on with them. So you are the one that's been there, right? So you've done your full assessment on this patient or client. I always say patient still, sorry. And now you come with the ability to say to the doctor, okay, the SFAR, what is the situation? This is a patient that came to us 2 days ago. I'm getting in report he's still in pain, not eating. We're unsure how swallowing, you know, all of these things. You have this situation, you can talk about the background, you talk about what exact assessment you've done on the patient, and then you'll have this list of recommendations or orders that you need from him, right? So there's that part of it. And it could be that it's not just the doctor that you need orders from, right? It may be that physical therapy hasn't come in and done their assessment yet on the client. And the most important thing is to get this person up and moving. It might be that nobody's done a complete assessment as far as for dementia on the client. Do you see what I mean? So all of these people have, that's called collaboration. They're all coming together to come up with really a full plan for the client. This is the difference between medicine and nursing. For me, it is. Nursing, you are kind of the gatekeeper for this client, for this patient, right? So you're the one that is sitting in the room with them, helping them eat, getting them up to the bathroom, seeing what their back looks like. Are they getting bed sore? You know, so you get to see all of that. So that's why it's so important for us as nurses to understand what collaboration is. All right. So that being said, what this assignment is asking you, so it looks like, looking at this, because I remember we had to tweak it last semester. She has we have option A up there. Okay.
Are you gonna want this handwritten to see our individual work or typed?
Well, I know it's going to be your individual work, because one of the things I want to have in there, I look for quotes. I look like actually what has been discussed. I know some of this, if it's a whole team meeting, it's going to be hard, but I want the gist of what's going on. So I'm okay if you feel like it looks neater by typing it. I'm okay with that. If you are going to type it, it's nice if you guys are typing it, if you can upload it still to that section where I can go through and give comments on the, you know, if you're uploading it into Canvas, I can actually make comments on your paper still by putting the little balloons and typing in there. If you handwrite it, it's a little harder to do that, but I can still do that off in the comment box. So I'm gonna say that's kind of up to you on that part. All right. So if you look at the rubric, first of all, it says the first part, you may either work with a team member from a discipline other than nursing, or you may attend the collaboration or interprofessional team conference. So do part A or B, it says. And so part A would be this one, which is attend a care conference or team meeting, which is what I was telling you about if you were in a room talking to it could just be occupational therapy or physical therapy, the nutritionist and you. That's still collaborating, right? Or the CNA, you in physical therapy. It's still considered collaboration.
So it's either or, either A or B?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading, but I'm trying to figure out which one is the B. Sorry, when I don't do the assignment, it's like, okay, I see A. Okay, it looks like the difference is I'm seeing this as B, right? Is that what you see that as?
Yeah, because it even starts from number 1 again. Like,
yeah. So I know this. I'm going to do that so we can see it better. All right, so if you pick out of these 2 activities and you're going to answer the questions that are here, you're going to probably get more out of doing A for this assignment, just looking at it briefly, because you know, it talks about describe everyone at the CARE conference, describe one of the clients that you discussed, and use the SFAR to describe the situation. So basically, you get to write your own SFAR here. It's not saying you have to use the SFAR in the conference itself, but to describe the patient to us, use the SFAR. Kind of, you know, what did you, what I would like to see is really what, at the end of it, your recommendations. After you did the situation background assessment, what are you thinking this patient needs, right? And then comparing and contrasting how the different team members collaborated together. Just, that's going to be more observation, right? Do you have someone that's really gung-ho and yeah, that's, you know, they're really willing to work together in a group, or is it just like someone who sits there and doesn't give you any feedback and is just going to do their own thing, right?
that makes sense. So this is working along with the same, I'm just curious. So when we go there, are you going to be joining us, or is it just a different professor, Ms. Thorpe? To be
no, because what, don't you go on, what days do you go?
That would be Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, no, I'm not scheduled to do that. It's really, I don't know who, I can ask who's going to be there.
When we do go, are we like, I know we're going to be working individual. So like in this one, if I'm focusing just on one client, that's where I'm going to be basing my other clinical tools, right?
That's what, yeah, because what are your other clinical tools?
What?
It's called PCPA, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I should know this more, but I haven't gone into this.
The other one is a curiosity one where I have to, it's very similar to the care plan where I kind of like explain the diagnosis, everything, the pathophysiology of a specific client, and that's the curiosity clinical tool.
Okay, good.
Like since I'm like run this one, so since I'm focusing like on what you're explaining in the collaboration on the team, how like they're focusing on a client as well, so I could make it in the same client that I'm working with. Okay.
Yes, you could. Now, Adriana, because I know you're going to go on after this too, right? I know maybe what I would also, hi, Monte. What I would also, sorry, my mind just went blank. Oh, so remember what we also want to keep thinking about and telling ourselves and seeing is the concept. what concept are you, what alteration in whatever concept? Like, let's say the person had pressure wounds. So they would have an alteration in tissue integrity related to immobility on complete bed rest, as evidenced by stage 2 pressure wound. Do you see what I'm saying? So start thinking that, because that's going to help you, all of you guys, as we move into even the 3rd semester and you guys move on, because really the program has switched to concepts, not the medical diagnosis. So whenever you hear a medical diagnosis, personally, I would want to see you put, this is a client has COPD. Maybe that's his big medical diagnosis. It's one thing to understand what COPD is, but ultimately, what is the concept that he's having an alteration in? It would be more gas exchange, right? If he's got COPD. Do you see what I mean? So start, as you guys are moving through this, really challenge yourself to not go down the rabbit hole of the medical diagnoses per se, but understand what's going on with them and think conceptually on that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, the answer is yes. I would definitely try to consolidate some of these client opportunities to fill out more than one of these papers, okay? You may have to get creative. Remember last semester, I think last semester we basically had to tell you guys, think of a situation that you're collaborating with someone to get something done. How did that look? You know, what was the situation, you know, and how did you, you can still answer those communication styles and all of that in that discussion, right? So, but hopefully from day one, you're going to be able to come up with a client that you're going to get these done on. All right.
Thank you.
Let's see here. So yeah, pick either A or B. Okay. And the other thing, just one second. That was my son. I have, so Adriana, so you don't feel bad. We have, I have 4 adults in our house and everybody is either on Zoom or working all day long. It's a functioning, working household.
You never thought how much we were gonna depend on technology, right?
Oh, I miss seeing you guys in person so much. And even this is really enjoyable, quite honestly, Adriana, seeing your face, because even the other night, like when I was on Zoom with people, it almost flusters me to see just a blank screen. I start getting like nervous, more and more nervous. So I know you guys don't like coming on this screen, but it's.
No, you should, because I mean, at least it makes, you know, you guys as instructors, if we're engaged and if we're actually, you know, being professional and sitting down and paying attention, like, you know, you guys take the time to present it, and I feel like it takes our time to look that we're engaged in what you're presenting.
Yeah, it just is, well, let's face it. I mean, you're going to be working. I'm more used to being a clinical nurse, right? Being in the hospital, being in acute care, being in these places. And that's where I get my energy from. When you talk about ACE and that's where I get my energy from. So Zoom meetings at an empty computer just is not doing it. So, but let's go back over here. The other thing, so in here, this is a little bit of a weird part here for me, this collaboration. So I'm thinking, attend a care conference. the healthcare to answer the following questions. So then here, Adriana, it looks like we want to have you now just pick out two conversations. Like if you get there the first day and you're working with one of the nurses and they're letting you go down and give meds or whatever, pick out one of those conversations. It doesn't have to be a long conversation, and put that in, try to get two and put in here. That being said, where it says this background stuff, really use this area to tell me about the situation, like put me there in that situation, and then go on and tell you exactly what was said. As many quotes as you can use, the better. Okay. I think by using quotes, it really, it shows that you really listened, that you were really listening and engaged in the conversation. But I think it also helps you get more out of the assignment, because then as you're writing it down and you're asking these questions to yourself, it's like, oh, okay, I see what I'm supposed to be getting from this, right? So in this analysis part, in any of these assignments, one of the other big thing that I look at is that you actually took time to really reflect and analyze what was said and done. Because this stuff could be not very long at all, right? It could be very short that you're writing in here. But take the time to say, did you have all the information that was needed? Was the information organized? Understand what you were concerned with. So in this part, the way I'm reading this is, let's say you have a client that's still saying he's in pain, and the nurse has already said, oh, well, I gave him pain medication an hour and a half ago. And you've just gone in and done his assessment, and you still really think he's an 8 or 9. What is that conversation gonna be with this? So you would put all the situation, so all that back, who the patient was, what was going on, what assessment did you do? And then, well, let me put a step back. This is gonna be just kind of that background, quick telling me, this is where we want the whole S-bar. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah. And then exactly what the healthcare team person told you. So I had something happen at clinical the other day, yesterday, and it was a learning moment for the student, and actually for me and for the nurse. So the student went in with, they get their patients in the morning, and the student went in and the aide was already taking the vital signs. So she was helping the aide take the vital signs, and then they were low. And the student said, oh, they're low, I'm gonna take another one. So they took another one, still low. And the nurse's aide said, well, it's always low. This client always has low ones. So I'm just document that, right? This was all unbeknownst to me. They haven't been in clinical that long. So anyways, long story short, she didn't come to me with that blood pressure. And there was a lot of other little things that happened. But when the nurse said to her, why didn't you say something about this low blood pressure? The conversation was, well, the CNA told me the patient had a low already. Do you see where there's all sorts of stuff that you could do as a you know, just talking about the conversation, you could in that situation use what actually happened. And then you could say, you know, hindsight, I should have gone to get my instructor and tell the nurse prior to documenting. And then and she did, we went and got a 2-step and took a blood pressure, you know, the manual blood pressure, and it was still low. But those are the kind of things we want you to learn from. You're gonna have these things happen in clinical, and it's pulling out those communication skills and writing them down on paper and understanding what could happen differently in order to get, in order to be safe for the patient, right? Good patient care. And then this part, Adriana, this reflection part is really a big one, okay? So really tell me about, when I look at someone's paper and they have 2 words here, you know, just 2 or 3 words in these lines, it doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. It doesn't make me feel like the person got much out of the assignment. You know what I mean?
When we would log in our journals back in the first semester, it reminds me that we need to elaborate. So it's just more like, yeah, how the experience went, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, so, you know, stuff like, as a result of this activity, I have learned how collaboration impacts client care by, you know, really putting that. Maybe in that particular situation, it didn't really give you a lot, but you could say something like, in this situation, the collaboration worked, and so the client got everything that they needed, but that you could see how if this had gone wrong or that had gone wrong or people weren't talking to each other, how that could lead to further problems. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, these assignments are really, they take some thought in here.
So if we're selection, it would either or A or B, do you want us to submit even the blank one that we didn't do, or just go ahead? For example, if I did only A and I didn't choose B, so delete the page and just submit my actual work, or you want us to submit how it looks right now, like the whole document?
If it's easier for you to do one or the other, I'm fine with that. If you have it all together and you just want to print here, chose B, you know, or just put a line, you know, I think it might be helpful. It's nice that we're talking like this, because it might be helpful to highlight the one that you're doing, and maybe here, maybe write, you know, option in a color ink, option B chosen, or something like that, to indicate to me that you're doing a different one, or leave it completely off, whatever's your choice.
Okay.
It is helpful, although I didn't look, but I think we have this in there, but let me check real quick oh, we do, okay. So it's okay, I'll have the rubric right here. So you won't have to include the rubric in that either. So I just want to make sure these look the same. Yeah, so the 2 examples of an S-bar, and then pick either option A or option B on the collaboration part, and then do your reflection. So it's option A, option B, 2 of these, 2 of the S-bars, right? And then do your reflection. Sound good?
Awesome, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for reaching out. I was like, I was just here, I'm starting to grade the newborn assessments. So I'm actually,
The videos uploaded?
huh?
You got the videos that we uploaded?
Yes, it's actually pretty cool to see your guys' faces. So I'm actually taking the competency and I'm making it out and attaching it to, because the rubric is really vague here, okay, that we have on there. So I'm giving you the points from the rubric, but I'm attaching the competency so you can see where I think you could work on a little bit, or if you did everything great or whatever. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.